Golf Central Update. Brought to you by TaylorMade.
We are pleased to be joined now by Tommy Fleetwood, who joins us from his home in the UK. And Tommy, it's good to hear that you and your wife Claire and your son Frank are doing well. But I want to go back to March. And I remember at the Players, you were going through some angst as the tournament started because you were worried about getting home to your family in the UK and then the concerns about getting back into the United States. Walk us through the process on everything you went through and the decision you made to get back to the UK.
Yeah, good to see you, by the way, Todd. Firing out a strong question straight away. I think, going back to that time, I think the biggest thing at the time was the uncertainty of basically, when you go back to it, we didn't know. I mean, when we turned up to play for the first round, there was still been no announcement. We just knew there was an announcement going to be made for playing with no fans, and then the tour was still ready to carry on. And the other thing was that the Masters was only 4 weeks away, and I think the conundrum was obviously I want to continue to work. I want to be there for the Masters if that was on, but also with the uncertainty of travel, we didn't really know what to do. And clearly my number one priority, or what I wanted to do, was go home and be with everyone. It's not just my family that I live under the same roof with. It's my parents, it's Claire's parents, it's all of that. So I think just back to that time, there was such a level of, it was all happening very, very quick. Going back to when we teed off at say 2:00, by the time we'd played, got in at 6:30, the whole world seemed like it was shutting down. So everything was happening so quick. So I think it was just, and then it was just a case of trying to sort of get information on what was going to happen, because my first priority, I wanted to get home, but at the same time, there was still plans for things to be going on in the States and on the PGA Tour. So it was just a waiting game to see what would happen, really.
And the most important thing is that you're back with your family. But you mentioned the Masters and getting back into the United States. Not only the Masters this year, but all the major championships that are on their schedule,
Yeah.
the FedEx Cup playoffs. But right now, there's so much uncertainty in regards to international travel, especially getting back into the United States. What are your concerns in getting to these big events?
Well, I mean, concerns is really a light word. I mean, it's it is my livelihood and everything. It's what I want to be doing. But there are bigger concerns than, say, Tommy Fleetwood getting to a golf tournament. But I just think the way things are going, it's good to see that our country and countries around the world are making plans to start getting back to normal. I think it seems like travel is going to be one of the hardest things to get back. So that, of course, for myself or international players, might cause some problems. But the truth is, we don't really know. And no decisions on a global level are being made through through history or through experience. They're being made on educated guesses and what we think is the right thing to do. And I think that's important to understand, really. Nobody's ever had this before, so everything is based on what we think is best. And whatever that is, you take it and you deal with it from there. But I of course, would love to get back to playing and doing what I love and that. But we'll see. And that's all you can do, really, wait and see.
And you're right, it is a fluid situation, but let's look at the schedule. The PGA Tour right now is scheduled to resume June the 11th at Colonial. The European Tour at the earliest will have an event in July. As of now, where do you anticipate playing your first event? In the United States or on the European Tour in the UK?
Well, where I want to play is as soon as I can play, I want to play, which at the moment is, from a schedule-based point of view, it is clearly the PGA Tour. And, there's other things that depend on that, whether I can be there and play or the quarantine period. And there's time before that when you think of how quickly things happened. If you go back to March at the Players to a week to 2 weeks is a very long time in what has been happening in the world. So I definitely envision and I want to play the PGA Tour because that is where the first events are going to be, and hopefully we can make that happen.
Has the PGA Tour informed you that if you come back into the United States, you need to quarantine yourself for a couple of weeks prior to a PGA Tour event?
No, not yet. I think that's clearly it's statewide and a government decision really on what happens. So I guess when the government make a call, the PGA Tour will know, and then we'll know. And that's just the trail of events that I guess will happen. But I think from a player's perspective, how optimistic and how positive the guys have been behind the scenes on the PGA Tour in getting a schedule so early when so many sports and businesses are finding it hard, I think has been amazing. And as a player playing on that tour, very grateful to everybody involved. And I think if it is going to happen, then it's just now we wait to see what higher bodies like the governing bodies decide.
Let's dive into the Ryder Cup. You're going to be on that European Ryder Cup team at Whistling Straits. There's been a discussion or two in regards to whether or not it should happen this year. There's a real possibility it may happen without fans if indeed it is played in 2020. Right now, where is your stance on the Ryder Cup? Should it be played? Should it be played without fans? You tell me.
Well, it's a good question, and I think it's a great debate. Originally, there was a couple of things, and we, as a player, you see it from a player's perspective. And originally, I think we spoke, and there was, talk of there being 12 picks, or talk of the qualification process. And I said, I think it's fair for, the Ryder Cup is very special on a number of levels, from the people who play in it or the people that are part of it to the world that watches it. And as a player, I thought it was fair that the qualification process should go its full length. Again, I don't mind either way. You do what's best, and people have to make decisions. And then obviously the debate now is, should it be played with fans or without? And again, as a player, and I look back to 2018, which was my first Ryder Cup, and for a year and a half when that qualification process was going, my goal for that Ryder Cup when I wanted to be selected was the moment standing on the first tee with the huge grandstand, the crowd singing songs, the noise, that feeling of it. And plus, when you get further into the Ryder Cup, you have some amazing Ryder Cup moments. And as for a player, if it was their first Ryder Cup and potentially somebody's only Ryder Cup, to be doing something very special in your life that is a dream and not getting the full experience of what you envision it, I thought, is a difficult thing. Having said that, I've always said that the Ryder Cup is, at the time, it is by an absolute mile the biggest sporting occasion in the world, and I think it would be an amazing torch for the world coming back into some positivity, and for people to be able to watch that. I think it's always going to be a great thing. So, and of course, there's financial implications and everything, which we have nothing to do. So, I mean, my opinion, as a lot of people's does constantly at the moment, changes either way. And I would love the Ryder Cup to be on, and I would love people to get the chance to watch it and sit down and bring some positivity to people's lives at this time. If, like I say though, if from a player's point of view, I'd find it, upsetting for some people if they didn't get to play in front of the crowds, but that's not the priority right now.
Indeed. And like you said, it's a fluid situation, and hopefully we will get through this, and you and I can share some more laughs and some more stories on a driving range somewhere across this planet. It is always good to talk with you, Tommy. Yeah, good to talk with you. Take care of your family, and we look forward to seeing you very soon, my man.
You too, Todd, and great jacket. I'm a fan.